One of the greatest things about sports is we can go into a season and everybody sees a path for their, okay, not everybody, sorry, New England. Everybody sees a path for how their team can make the Super Bowl and win it. They say, we're this piece away, we're this piece away. Everybody has a formula, and everybody's got a belief that their formula is the recipe to success. And that's what's exciting about sports. That's what's fun about being a fan. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Everybody can believe what they want to believe. And, you know, my beliefs ain't always right. Your beliefs ain't always, that's just how it is. But I'll tell you what, the thing is about sports, you have to be able to separate the emotions, the excitement, and the beliefs of this player gotta have him versus the cold, hard facts. I am looking at you, Ashton Jeanty. I am looking at you, Bengals fans. I am looking at you, Bengals insiders, Bengals media, Bengals reporters, Bengals front office that thinks Ashton Jeanty is a no-brainer pick at number 17 if he falls there. I could tell you, you couldn't possibly be more wrong. Statistically speaking. Do it again. I love it. I love that you think that this man can come to the football team and make a difference. I do. But let's just look at the history of the running back position with Super Bowl teams. A lot of us will remember. This was, you know, this chart cycling through, surfacing around just in the last 10, 15 years of how much the running backs were being paid that were starting running backs on football teams that won Super Bowls. It just wasn't something teams did. They did not invest heavily in the running back position because, again, why? The quarterback, the wide receivers, the offensive line, the defense were also much more important because like a running back is so much better behind a good offensive line. Don't believe me? Look at Saquon. Look at Derrick Henry, 5.9 yards per carry. We thought Derrick Henry was done. Derrick Henry was, killer. Best running back in the league of the generation, really. And the offensive line in Tennessee falls apart. He starts averaging 4.2, 4.3, 4.4 yards per carry. Comes over to one of the best offensive lines in the league and goes out in there and tears the roof off the building. Saquon Barkley as well. We've seen him up and down. It was a couple years stud over there in New York, but a lot of years behind that offensive line struggled. A 3.5 yards per carry season. Goes over to the Philadelphia Eagles and looks like an MV frickin' P. Because the offensive line, again, Philadelphia, notorious for being that dang good. That is how important the rest of the team, the offensive line, is to impacting the running back position. You look at it from that regard, you look at it, that is why they do not get paid a lot, because you cannot then pay your other positions. It worked out. The Eagles were an anomaly. The Eagles were a unicorn in such a big way. The reason it worked for the Eagles is because holy smokes did they know how to draft. They hit again on the draft these past few seasons. So they have all these guys on rookie contracts that they're not paying. So they could afford to throw Saquon Barkley 16, 17, 18, 19, a whole lot of money. And here's what's crazy about Saquon Barkley. Highest paid running back in the league. Total cash, we should say, via spot rack for the running back position. $16.5 million is going to Saquon Barkley, the highest paid running back in the league. That's the 118th highest paid player in 2025 via cash spend. That is the dead last position in the league. The only kicker doesn't count. Quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, offensive guard, left tackle, defensive end, safety, middle linebacker. Every single position's highest paid player is getting paid more than the highest paid running back. Think about that. And you're going to tell me that it's a slam dunk? You got to take Ashton Jeanty if he's there for the Bengals when you have nobody at the guard position. You have nobody that you feel confident in being a pass rusher past this season, and you're telling me Ashton Jeanty's a slam dunk? Woof. Wow. Couldn't be more wrong. Want to keep going? Oh, okay. Want to keep going. We want to do that. Again, situational. Before we'll dive into the draft statistics. Before we do into that, the reason, again, we brought up work for the Eagles. This Eagles team wants to run the football. They are built around running the football. Sure, Jalen Hurts can sling when he has to. He's got some good weapons out there. They are built on dominating in the trenches. So when Saquon came around, they were dominant in the trenches already. The Bengals are horrible. So one of the worst teams in the league in the trenches, and you think you're going to bring a running back in and he's going to change that problem? No. So situational awareness is everything. For the Eagles to do what they did, they had the ability to spend that money. That can work for the Eagles. It's not going to work for 95% of teams in the league. Probably higher than that. Again, that's just the facts. But let's look into it. If you look at draft history, the last time a team drafted a running back with one of the top 30 overall picks in the NFL draft and made the Super Bowl. And hey, even this is how crazy this one. Even Todd Gurley and the Rams did not make the Super Bowl with Todd Gurley in the roster. The last time they was drafted and they was on the roster when they made the Super Bowl. And think about that. The Rams were loaded with draft picks because of the RG3 trade. Still couldn't get to the Super Bowl with Todd Gurley. Had the injuries, whatever. I don't care what happened. Because that's just the risk you take with the running back position. Whatever happened, happened. The last time a team made the Super Bowl with that running back on their roster inside the top 30 overall picks was 2009 when the Denver Broncos took Noshawn Moreno. Same year, 2009, when the Indianapolis Colts drafted Donald Brown. Remember Donald Brown? Donald Brown, who, by the way, did not start for that Indianapolis Colts, that team, that season. Joseph Adai did. Could you imagine if they went a different direction in that draft? Maybe got a player of needing another position, got a quality starter. Maybe that's the little bit that put them over the edge to win the Super Bowl. Instead, they lost it. You know they did lose the Super Bowl too? A team that did also draft a running back inside the top 30 with a first-round pick, the New Orleans Saints, who was the last team to draft a running back inside the top 30 and win a Super Bowl. The New Orleans Saints, who drafted all the way back in 2006, Reggie Bush. Remember Reggie Bush? Historic, groundbreaking. How could you possibly pass up the Heisman winner? Looked like an all-time great in college. Unstoppable. The Saints had to have him. Saints did it twice. Saints, who, by the way, we love comparing the Bengals to, by the way, so you should take notes of this one. They drafted a Heisman, got to have him running back twice in the first round, and both times. All it did was, one of them never really flourished. The other one was part of a team that was historically terrible defensive and could go nowhere in the playoffs because of it. Keep that in mind. But Reggie Bush was on the roster. 4 years. At this point, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, he's on the roster for 4 years. Never rushed for over 600 yards in a season. Think about this. These are cold, hard facts. We're 20 years deep where a running back in the top 30 picks has not been an impact. But I know I'm saying top 30. You know why? Because the Kansas City Chiefs took Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 32 and they still won Super Bowls. But by the way, what's Clyde Edwards-Helaire doing? Another wasted pick. The New England, you know what's crazy? The New England Patriots selected Lawrence Maroney. Lawrence Maroney in the first round of the 2006 NFL draft. The dynasty, the greatest team of the greatest franchise of our generation, led by Tom Brady, at least until we'll see what Patrick Mahomes does. The greatest of our generation. Guess who did not win a Super Bowl the entire time that draft pick was not or was on that roster? That would be, yes, the New England Patriots. To me, this is mind-blowing. It is staggering the percentage, the low, impossible percentages that the running back position has had on the impact of a team winning the Super Bowl. We're 20 years deep. You can't put a running back on this list that a team drafted and was a part of them winning a factor to them winning a Super Bowl. It hasn't happened in 20 years. And Ashton Jeanty is supposed to be that superhuman pill. He's supposed to be more sparkling than how wildly good Trent Richardson was supposed to be, how wildly good Reggie Bush was supposed to be, how wildly good Mark Ingram was supposed to be. Yeah, you know what? The last time, Saquon came to fruition, but the last time you had a highly taken running back highly touted was Zeke. And the Cowboys didn't ever get no Super Bowl. If you do want to look at that. For the most part, though, the last 6 teams to draft a running back, dating back to 2017. Here's your list. Jacksonville, Carolina, Atlanta, Pittsburgh, Raiders, Giants. Are those the 6 teams you want to aspire to be? Because I sure as heck don't want to be. Period. You have to, I think what is so important as a franchise, as a fan, is we get so built up in the emotion. We get so built up in the flash. We get so built up in the excitement, the explosiveness of these guys coming out of college. You think that is the secret to success. That is the answer. That is the key. That is what we are missing. And I could be completely wrong. I could be. Very much could be completely wrong. But we are looking at the data. We're looking at the analytics. We're looking at the statistics. Statistically speaking, there is 0% chance this running back is going to be an impact player if you win a Super Bowl in the next 5 years. Based on the last 20 years. The only time we even seen these stud running backs come and make a difference was, again, these teams that were built offensive line heavy. It felt like they fit their scheme. You know, I'm thinking Christian McCaffrey. I'm thinking Saquon Barkley. Like, you can even throw in Derrick Henry going to Baltimore if you want. The only time these highly touted running backs going to good teams has really worked was when that team was built to run the football. Not, oh, let's bring in a stud to play with. You don't see it. Patrick Mahomes. When's the last time old Bill said, hey, think we can get Peterson to come with Tom Brady? No, just hasn't been there. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. And the running back position can change that narrative, because the running back position can change that narrative and change their value. Some big paydays coming for those guys. They earn their worth. They earn their respect. The game evolves. But right now, worst decision you could possibly make, I think you could argue with a wall. I'm sorry. You know, I love to be open-minded about things. I'll be the first one to say, again, I'll never forget it. You know, Sewell over Chase. I might die on that hill now. I'm being completely honest, but I'll be the first one to admit I can see why the Chase decision was better. I respect it. I'll say I was wrong. But as far as this goes, we'll see. We'll see. Right now, I'd bet the mortgage that Jeanty does not equate to a Super Bowl for this Bengals team. Nonetheless, love the y'all's thoughts. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.